a lot, they're used to, we say this word, strung up. They're used to having this up underneath of their chin, and half of the time they'll lean on it and fall asleep. If you don't do that, then they don't know what to do. And that's when they start wandering around the table and they don't understand. It's because this is what they're used to. And they get used to it and it doesn't bother them. It's up under here. Okay, so for competition, I would work this coat just a little bit more and make it lay flat, because now I would have had, 4 weeks of all of this fluff to card out, as opposed to just 2 since they've shown her.
Breeds like this with the long skirt and westies, whenever you hear rolling underline, does that just mean we're the highest point?
Yep.
And then an underline, though, can be the same that's on the wire fox, where it's a short underline. An underline can be a lot of different
Underline
lengths.
just means this part. So if it's a wire fox terrier, it's up here, it's short or next to nothing, and it's straight, and it goes right behind the elbow.
What's a skirt?
A skirt. This is a skirt.
Okay. And Westies and Scotties.
No,
No. That's what underline.
they have underlines.
So even though this one has a skirt, it
You can
still
call it
has
a
an
skirt,
underline.
but you're still, underline refers to the shape of this hair making your tuck up and then back down to that front foot. That's technically what it refers to when you're talking about underline. But your terrier people are very fussy about, they don't want you to call it a skirt.
Word skirt. Okay.
Right, they don't like it, it's their thing, whatever. So then they just decided they're just gonna call it an underline in theirs. Terriers just call it all an underline.
So a skirt has an underline, but an underline on those is not a skirt.
Exactly.
Okay, that's for
All right.
clarity. I just wanna make
Exactly
sure I was
right.
And so
following
is there
too.
another breed that would have a skirt?
I'm sure there is, but off the top of my head, I can't,
Underline. Alter.
yeah. Just use the words underline and you'll never go wrong.
Okay.
Because that applies to everybody. Just say underline. And what you're referring to is the shape of the hair, no matter how long or how short, that goes from here up to the tuck up and back down. Just the shape of that underline is different per different breeds. I was so used to doing Americans that the first time I got a placement with my English Cocker, the judge came by and said, "That's fabulous, but it's not an American." And I said, "Thank you," because I gave it an American underline. And I see it now. I go back and look at that photo and I'm like, so bad. But it is what it is. I still got a second place because everything else was gorgeous. But it is there's just different shapes, on these guys. This rolling underline shape is very similar to what Scotties get if it's all the way down to the ground. Scotties and Westies, they just have less hair here. But this shape of this underline is basically the same. You come from the back of the front foot up to the tuck up and then back down around to the front toe of the back foot. So that's the shape that we're looking for. So on these guys rolling, she still has hers, you can see it. Here, rolls up to the highest point, which is your tuck up, and back down. So it looks like kind of almost like a small half moon circle. So that's what they call a rolling underline. That's what they're referring to. Because it's not like, a poodle in a continental, the back of their jacket is like, whoosh, and then a lot of the terriers are like that too. The back of the leg goes straight up in and it's almost like nothing there, and then it goes straight to the elbow. So there's just different shapes.
The
But this
terminology for it means it's smooth, like a smooth transition is that what
Right.
you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure.
Everything about the Cocker Spaniel is supposed to be very flowy
Right.
and round.
It's all supposed to, flow into itself. And okay, so the first thing I do now is I do foot bevels before I connect the underline, because we all have this process where we do certain things. See all the fluff? Now, when they show these guys, they don't shave these pads out. So you tend to end up with a whole lot of, she's a little ticklish. And then we're gonna do our thing with our comb, because they don't do that. See all that hair? And we're just gonna zap that off. Right flat with the bottom of the foot, don't come up around the toe. And as she gets used to me shaving her feet more, I'll take more out. But a lot of times, you know, you'll have a judge come up and that's the first thing they do. They look at your bevel and then they take their comb and go like that. Lisa Leedy did it to me about 5 times before I finally said, okay, fine. And started doing this 3 times before I went in the ring. Because she'd just do it and drop the comb and walk away. Because she knew she showed me to do it. And she wasn't having it. And I'd be under my breath, damn it. You know, fussing at myself. Alright, so same, just like every other dog with fluffy feet. We're just gonna go right around the outside edge, flat with the foot. Don't come up around the outside. And if you don't keep up with it, you can do this like 10 times and still find hair. This is a little bit tighter of a curve, but it's still a serrated edge. That's the trick to bevels, is serrated edge shears in a tighter and tighter circle. Don't try to start out with a nice tight circle. So you trim the whole bottom of the foot first. And pretty much your bevel is set when you do that. So you comb it all the way down. And you're going to lay your shears flat first. And just go right around the outside edge. Like so. Everybody see that? I'm going to come this side now. As flat as you can. Right around the outside. Okay, and then your next go around, lift your scissors a little bit more. Follow the circle you already made, just make your angle of your shears a little bit higher. Instead of flat, you're now tilting up like this. And they like them to look like they're walking high up on their feet. So make sure you get everything off the bottom. Comb it all out again. I start with this wide one and then I come back with my little skinny one. Make sure I get all that hair. And you lift it up one more time. A little bit higher. And that gives you the start of your bevel. So just by lifting the shears, you pull that foot up, but you're not getting in there and chopping it off. That makes sense to everybody? So if you do have, you know, a customer that does kind of like their legs a little fluffy and you want to give them more of that little beveled look, that's all you have to do. Flat, up, 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 like that. Just keep going around until it comes out. And you get better and faster at it the more you do it.